How does a stay-at-home wife with ADD keep 10 million viewers glued to their screens?
Oh, it's because she's blonde, white, and female.
But after watching one of her videos, I found something unique that I did not expect to see. Because when I looked at my clock next, an hour had flown by. But it wasn't her crazy charisma or quirky personality that kept me watching. It was something much deeper. In fact, Serena found a pathway to viral success, probably by accident, that was hidden in plain sight. But she did it all not with crazy edits, not with captions. She doesn't even keep her short videos short. In fact, she breaks every rule when it comes to short form content. And it's working. But why is she able to get away with this? And can we use this to grow our audience? Now, when my client first asked me to analyze Serena's account, I thought this would be a walk in the park. But what confused me about Serena wasn't the fact that she had 10 million followers, although that in itself is crazy, but most pages get less views than their follow count. Take this one, for example. 1 million followers, but only 12,000 views. But what blew me away is Serena's videos average 10 million views. But what if I told you the reason for her viral success boils down to a simple principle that anyone can use? Because while she may have popularized this genre, I narrowed down the specific formulas to how she gets these 10 million views. But it's not her charisma or her lashes or her pearly white teeth. It's something far more electric. But what is her formula and what makes it so powerful? Well, in 1985, a guy named Brad Myers put 48 people in front of a computer to test his latest invention. Little did he know that his invention would change the world forever. In fact, you've probably already used it today. You see, at the time, people were growing anxious when they clicked a button and their computer did nothing. Understandably so. So to reduce anxiety, Brad had a plan. His plan was to put a small rectangle that moved from left to right to show people that something was happening. And 87% of his test subjects loved it. But here's where his experiment went wrong. Brad assumed that by showing a progress bar, people would see how much time they had left and then leave their desk to go perform other activities. But this couldn't have been further from the truth. Perhaps you're a victim of this too. A progress bar appears on your screen and suddenly you're glued to it. You don't know why, but you can't look away because you're waiting to see when it moves, how fast it moves. And instead of doing other more productive things, you're now glued to your screen as you watch it do nothing. But that nothing is exactly what Serena Neal does to her viewers. That nothing in general is why how-to videos do so well, not because their viewers are learning, but because the viewers are waiting, unable to look away. But before we apply this to ourselves, we need to address the elephant in the room. Serena appears to live in what most would call a wealthy home. Some might see this and go,
she gets views because she's rich.
So is her success based purely on the looks, or has she discovered a loading bar? Now, whether she has duped us or not, I want to clarify, I don't think she understands why she goes viral. In fact, judging based off the hours of content I watched, I'm guessing she just saw what works and kept on doing it. But what exactly is she doing? Let's take a look at this giant gecko that got 13 million views. At the start of the video, she promises that she will make a gecko 6 feet long. Then she starts adding tiny beads one at a time. It's kind of like an art attack project. With each bead, her metaphorical loading bar moves forward 1 pixel at a time. And I can't tell you how many creators I see literally post progress videos without showing the progress. Like literally, that is the only thing keeping people watching your video. If you're adding food to a pot, show us what's in the pot. But her speed is not constant, it's sporadic. And whether she knows it or not, Serena stumbled upon a loading bar secret hidden in the code itself. Because loading bars are designed to tell us when a project is finished, but they're actually not as honest as they may seem. Because most bars will load really quickly for the first 3 quarters and then stall, loading excruciatingly, painfully slowly for the final 25%. And this is by design, not because the program actually loads quickly for the first 3 quarters, but for 2 reasons. 1, coders will openly admit that they have no idea how long a project should actually take. So these bars are just estimates and they're completely inaccurate. But the second factor is what I find most intriguing, and that is viewers are more likely to pay attention to a loading bar that moves sporadically than a loading bar that moves at a steady speed. But not for the reasons you might think. Just like whack-a-mole, a fast-paced game where you are forced to focus and figure out where the next mole is going to appear, that same focus happens when you watch a bar load at different speeds. But what does changing speeds have to do with Serena Neal, and how can we apply this to get more views? Well, as you already guessed, Serena starts each video with a promise. Kind of like when you want to download a game, you are given a promise that After you click, the game will be loaded onto your computer, assuming you're not on a sketchy website. But we don't press download unless we believe the game is worth having. But that's where Serena works her magic, because her entire video is a loading bar, and her absurd promise at the start is the metaphorical game we are waiting to download. But each bit of her video progresses at different speeds. We see in the first half, she built the entire body. Then the third quarter, she built 3 legs. But in the last 25%, she takes her time. Not because she got lazy on the edit, but because she knows if you've watched this long, you are invested enough to stay to the end, as long as she's loading the progress bar. And if you've watched this long, consider subscribing, because it's free and it helps the channel out. But here's what Serena does that small creators often overlook. Because what do you do when a progress bar completes? Do you want to see the bar again, or do you open your download and forget the bar ever happened? The 300 view jail starts when smaller creators spend too much time showing their finished product, expecting people to stay and watch, when in reality, your viewers are scrolling the moment they get what you promised. And when your viewers leave before your video is finished, this tells the algorithm,
Your video fails to keep people on the app.
so it stops showing your video to new people, crippling your views. But the loading bar isn't the only reason why Serena's going viral. In fact, there's another reason she's getting 10 million views, but it's a lot simpler than you might think. But even though this next tip can be done by a 5-year-old, I see very few people in content actually doing it. But I didn't realize how powerful this was until I saw the video where she pulls off her eyelashes and stuffs them into a wall. But it wasn't even the fact that she cut the hole herself, but it was the fact that she not only hired a repairman to patch it back up, but she also hired a violinist to entertain the repairman the entire time he worked. Now you're probably thinking, that's expensive. I don't know why you think in that accent. And at first, I too thought her success came from doing very expensive things, until I caught myself watching Serena Niels run full speed down her concrete street in nothing but her bare feet. And no, I wasn't watching because she was filming her feet. I genuinely have no attraction to feet. But what shocked me was the reason why she was running down the street, because in front of her was a garbage truck, the same garbage truck that took her trash, which begs the question, did she accidentally throw the rest of her eyelashes away? But the truth is much crazier, because Serena has this weird tendency towards generosity, particularly for the people who do things outside of her home, but who never actually come inside. For example, she has this mini fridge full of drinks that she offers to the mailman. Not just the mailman, but all the male people. So when the garbage truck rolls by, she doesn't want them to feel left out. So she started giving them drinks too. But on this particular day, for whatever reason, she missed the garbage man. But instead of going, oh darn, I guess I'll see him next week, she runs down the street, sprinting past multiple houses, catches the truck, gives him his drink because the driver needs his electrolytes. And if you haven't guessed it, here's the thing Serena does differently that many other creators don't. She runs the extra mile, even when it seems absurd. But it doesn't have to be something that takes away a lot of your time or money. Sometimes it's as simple as running 2 blocks down the street to show kindness to a stranger who's having a rough day. Mind you, the data shows you need to be barefoot. But the breakthrough in your content comes when you ask yourself the question, how can I go the extra mile for the people in my world today? But it's not simply that Serena goes the extra mile, it's the fact that going the extra mile exceeds the promise Serena gave us at the start. Imagine you order 1 product from Amazon, but instead of just sending you that 1 product, they send you an additional 10 more products that were all on your wish list completely for free that you weren't expecting. How would you feel? That's why I couldn't stop watching Serena's videos. But there's a third reason Serena keeps you glued to your screen, using a little technique I like to call brain chemicals. Every famous creator does it, and if you want to learn how, watch this video here. My name is Jesse. I turn small creators into viral stars, so if you want to grow, call me bro. Link down below.